body like all the juices drain out.
Hi, freaks, and welcome to another episode. Thanks for joining us. Joining me tonight is the lovely Sue. How are we, Sue?
I'm good, thank you very much.
And of course, we've also got Nathan, who's hiding bodies wherever he can. Hello,
I know all the tricks.
Nathan.
Movies don't make monsters; they just make us more creative.
This is true.
Is that an admission, is it, Nathan?
Hmm
I think my job would make me more creative, to be honest. In the medical
Okay,
field.
let's move on before we incriminate ourselves anymore. So we're ready to get into this classic movie.
Please do.
Okay, so this is our final movie in our shark box set. So we've had Great Whites kicked us off, and then Open Water, and now a month later we are finishing off with the classic original shark blockbuster, 1975's Jaws. Are you glad to be at the end of the shark box set? Have you had enough of sharks?
I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
Because the three that we've seen have all been very different.
Yeah.
And I guess to add to it, it's like summer here, so going down to the beach and that sort of stuff, and it's just putting fear in my mind.
You've
And
had
I
a lot
do
of shark experience as well. Sharks on the beach at Robe, and also there's been shark attacks in Sydney. So it has been quite topical for us here in Australia.
Yeah.
Oh,
Often
so-
seeing the shark plane go past when we're
Oh
down
yeah,
the beach
yeah.
here as well.
Yeah.
And that's why we're all also in our tank tops tonight.
Beachwear.
Got my Jaws tank top on. It is quite warm here in Australia, even though it is autumn. It is still quite warm. Still feeling the effects of summer. It's kind of a late summer. So Jaws, released in November 1975. It was directed by a person called Steven Spielberg. I don't know what happened to him.
No.
What he's gone on
Never heard of
from
him.
there.
One hit wonder.
It was made for a budget of $9 million with a box office of $472 million. So it was quite successful. It has been called the first blockbuster that kicked off a tradition of summer movie blockbusters, which has become a staple of cinema these days. It starred Roy Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss, Robert Shaw, and Lorraine Gary. So quite a good cast as well.
Agreed.
So I think I've seen this movie about 50 billion times. It's probably the most watched movie for me. I think I've covered this before, how irresponsible my parents were in sharing horror movies. And I was watching Jaws at a very young age. I think I was like 6 or 7 when I was watching Jaws, which is it's not surprising how afraid of the water I am now.
It was an educational purpose.
How about you, Nathan? When was the first time you remember watching Jaws?
I would have been an adult. So definitely didn't see it in my childhood. And I've probably only seen it like maybe 4 times or so in my life.
Oh my God.
And I haven't seen it for quite a while. So I feel like I was watching it almost with fresh eyes.
That's cool.
How about you, Sue? Are you more familiar with it?
Yeah, I've seen it many times. And my first sort of memory of it was when I was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 or something. And there was an advert that they put on the TV for the film during a kids program. And the ad scared the crap out of me. My mum actually rang the network and complained.
Oh my God.
After that for like 2 years. And I didn't understand that sharks have to be in water. So I thought they come get me. So I used to go and tell her they were running around my bed. There's sharks in my bed. And then I finally actually watched it, I think late teens, early 20s probably. I watched it on TV because I remember the ad break happened right after a pivotal death. And I remember going like, whew, got to get my breath back. That was really full on, and happy for the ad breaks and stuff. But
yeah.
Oh, it would have been cut, I'm assuming. I don't remember how, but it would have been.
back then.
Yeah,
It was on
yeah,
all
I
the
have.
time in on television at one stage. Like you could just guarantee that if you turn the TV on, it would be on somewhere. And
Yeah,
even on the
in,
streamings, like it's on. I could have watched it on about 3 different streaming services.
yeah,
It wasn't
yeah. I think I
exclusive.
saw them too, but yeah, which is interesting because there are movies you like can't even find on any streaming service, which is very frustrating.
Well, maybe it's
Yeah.
such an old one though. They get it sort of included for free with certain deals.
Have Jaws.
Yeah, there'd be movies like that.
Yeah.
I heard it was going to
Definitely.
be called something else, but I can't remember what they were going to call
Thief?
it.
What
No,
was it gonna be
something
called?
completely different, like something to do with the town or something. But it wasn't Jaws. And
Amityville
they
Horror?
It was no. That was
Save that for something else.
yeah, it was some other sort of less snappy title, and they wanted something that was one word that they would really. When the book came out, this is for the book.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It was going to have a
Well, yeah.
different title.
Well, marketing wise, I think it's a great title.
Yeah, yeah, it worked a treat. If this guy, I don't think he'd written anything else. Peter Benchley, the book, I don't think he'd written much else. So when the book came out, they didn't really think it'd be a big hit, and they thought giving it that kind of title would help it sell, and then it went through the roof with sales because of word of mouth and stuff. So kind of made
And then he
him.
sort of kept on writing films or shows like that.
Didn't he do Orca or something as well? I feel like he had something to do with Orca. But have you read Jaws?
Didn't he do Congo as well? Or...
No, that was Michael Crichton.
Michael Crichton. There was the Squid one. Was that Michael Crichton as well? I always get those two confused.
I don't know. That could have been him because I think he did do a lot of sea-based things. But the book is really, it's not that great. I remember reading it when I was like in my teens, and there's a sex scene between Mrs.
Hooper.
Brody and Hooper, and like it was pretty like explicit for back then. And I remember like we used to read that scene all the time and giggle about it and stuff.
Yeah, it was. I remember like panties and that sort of thing. Which they strangely left out of the film.
I think it's a good idea.
Well, there is a scene in the movie where she says to him, "Do you want to fool around?"
Yeah, but to her husband. This is she's having
not to Hooper.
Oh, the affair. Okay, that wasn't even in the movie at all.
No,
no.
They chose to leave that out, and I think that was the right choice, personally.
Yeah, probably would have shifted focus.
Yeah, made it a bit soapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Did you think Hooper was kind of cute looking, like kind of in a scruffy way?
Super attractive.
Yeah.
Which one was Hooper?
Richard Dreyfuss.
Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh yeah, in my notes.
Yeah.
I actually wrote that down. It's like,
always liked
Richard?
him, but in that he's particularly attractive, I think, in Jaws.
Yeah. I wrote my notes as like, is that Richard Dreyfuss? And is he kind of hot?
It's funny
I think
how
our taste has like come full circle, like because now it's sort of that grungy denim-y look with the beard is kind of in fashion. So it's like, hey, I've got an awakening for Richard Dreyfuss.
and
has he been cancelled yet? He's been cancelled, hasn't he?
One-liners and stuff. And
I don't think he has he?
I don't think
he hasn't done anything to get cancelled for.
No, but he was
involved
in the Kevin Spacey cancelling.
Was he?
I think.
What else did he do other than What About Bob?
It was his son that was like hurt by Kevin Spacey.
Oh.
Yeah. As far as I remember, I'm pretty sure that's
the guy from Star Trek.
What guy from Star Trek?
The guy from Star Trek was the one that had brought up about Kevin Spacey.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It was his 16-year-old son or something.
Yeah.
There's a few. There's been
a few.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how to cancelling. Sorry for going down this rabbit hole.
Okay.
Get back on track. We've gone from like talking about one type of predator to another one.
But in answer to your question, he's also been in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He's been in lots of things, Nathan.
He was in Once Around. I remember that as an older man. Probably nobody remembers that movie, but me and my mum used to like that movie.
he was in the Poseidon Adventure. I think he played like
Oh yeah,
a
it was.
Oh,
gay
the old
guy.
one.
Yeah,
No,
no, the new
didn't.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
He played like a gay guy. It was really offensive.
No.
Cancelled.
Yeah, I
So,
follow him on Instagram, and he actually posts up Jaws stuff like nearly all the time,
Okay.
okay.
which is interesting. But you're also a bit like, have we not all moved on? Like, is this? I don't know. It just seems a bit strange to me. Like, is he
Well,
living?
maybe it's just a fun time of his life.
But it's been like months of just that. It's really unusual.
Ah,
Maybe he discovered some treasure trove of photos and went, "Oh, I think I'll share all these for a
it's not an
while."
anniversary or anything, is it? We're not like doing this and like, oh, it's
I
an
don't know. I
anniversary
don't
of
think so.
Jaws. Oh no, it's 1975. So, and it came out in November. So, no,
No, we're good.
he's just randomly posting things. So, should we talk about the
Yes.
best bits that we like?
Yes.
Oh,
Cool. So let's talk about our third best bits. Nathan, did you want to talk about what you like in the bronze
ooh,
position?
three. I'd trouble picking three. So, my third best bit would be seeing the shark circling the boat. Because most of the movie we hadn't actually seen the shark, but then when they're actually out in the boat and they're gone off hunting it to see the actual size of it, in scale
Yeah.
with the boat, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. It was good to see the size. I agree, because that was the first time we
That's what
really
she
got a
said.
really
It's so huge.
yeah, and so many feet. Oh, when they
Yeah.
say 15 to 20 feet or something, like
It's 20
Yeah.
feet, 25.
Yeah.
I've seen the movie before, you know. Sue, what was your third favorite bit?
Probably when Robert Shaw is sharing the Indianapolis story, because that is a true story. So because it's so descriptive, it's so chilling. I
Mm.
can imagine just floating there and just wondering when your turn is going to happen and watching people die all around you. What did he say? 6 an hour? I can't even
Yeah.
imagine being in that perpetual state of terror for days. That's horrific to me. So I think
And
that was
that's
amazing.
also my third position as well.
Yeah.
It's that whole scene like where they in the lead up to that as well, where they're sort of having the scar off and they're showing the
Yeah.
scars and like you see that they've sort of been
Camaraderie.
drinking and they're
Mm.
building that camaraderie that they really didn't have before and Quint's sort of breaking down and able to share that. So I think it was especially for Quint, who's quite an abrasive character,
Yeah.
and then sort of allowing us into that emotional moment that, like you said, was true. Like the
Yeah.
description of that his meeting his friends, like and thinking he's
Mm.
asleep, and then
Yeah.
him bobbing around like a top, like with half of him missing, and then
Yeah.
like to be the most scared when he's about to get pulled out of the water because obviously you would like you've gone through such a horrible
Yeah,
time
that
and
really
you
stuck
feel
with me.
like you're
Yeah,
going to get killed like just before you get
like
taken
The
to
last.
safety.
my life. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the insight into his character that gave us, because he's a bit of a prick, but you can see kind of why he would choose to be so solitary and
Yeah.
put people
Yeah.
away.
And what made him that way. But also one of the interesting things that I found, I mean, about that scene, but also a few other parts of the movie, like the scariest parts are quite often bits you don't see. So it's stuff that they talk about. So it lets your mind sort of paint the pictures.
Mm.
Yeah, because it's very descriptive, the words that he chooses to use, and you can
Yeah.
see in his face. And I have to admit, because it's a true story, sometimes that makes me a bit I don't think they always handle it as sensitively as they should when it's a true story. So I think he did a very good job of not, if someone that I knew had gone through that in real life, I wouldn't feel offended by the way he used that story in the film.
Yeah.
It wasn't gratuitous.
No.
No.
And also, this that scene's been parodied many times. I think Mallrats, Kevin Smith's quite well known
Chasing
for that's Chasing Amy, was it? That's his favorite scene.
Yeah.
He's a huge Jaws fan. So that's been he parodied that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, good. I like it when we have the same. Should we go on to number 2? Sue, what was your second favorite moment?
Um, I would say it was the shot on the beach, when every time someone walks past, the camera gets closer and closer, or there'd be someone walk by and then you're in the water, and then walk by and you're back of Brody. Like, I liked that sort of camera work. I thought it was clever without being too showy, and really brought home that feeling of things just getting more and more intense for him. I liked a lot of the camera work. At the beginning when she jumps into the water, Chrissy jumps into the water, and it's shot from the side instead of front on. Just those little camera things that he does that I'm like, he's putting his stamp on it without being a director. But yeah, so that shot.
We're so in sync tonight, Sue. That's my second favorite as well. I think that scene, like with the thing, like people walking by and the camera getting closer and closer, like is what got me into the love, like the passion for making films. Like, it's like, oh my god, like how is this?
What do you do?
This is like genius. Like the way he can cut in between that and build that tension, by just camera. Like by good editing and camera angles.
Really gets you immersed in that place.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like it's just amazing. The whole Kittner boy getting killed, that bit on the beach is amazing. The bit
the whole
with the
way
dog, like and the guy throwing the stick out for the dog, and then him sort of looking concerned and trying to find his dog. Like it's all building up. And so yeah, that whole scene is amazing, but it's particularly that though.
I do think a lesser director would have shown that dog getting attacked, to be honest. So I'm glad that wasn't shown. And even the way that the Kittner boy, it was shown enough for you to be kind of horrified, but they didn't. There was actually, you kind of wanted to see more, even though. So I think that's also excellent filmmaking.
What do you mean the dog got attacked? I didn't get that.
Well, he disappeared.
Pip-it!
And still calling him. So I the assumption is the dog.
They just show the stick like floating on the water and the guy like looking around.
Yeah.
You need to watch it 30 more times, Nathan. Get on.
I
know every shot like the back of your hand, like we do. Sorry, go on, Nathan.
Nathan, what was your second?
Number 2 bit would probably be back on the boat again. So as they're pulling in the rope and saying, all right, be careful so it doesn't like cut you, and like it pulls on it and that sort of stuff. And as they're doing it quite close to the water, and then the shark emerges very, very close. Again, because I was watching it almost as if it was my first time, I actually jumped at that moment.
Nice.
Even though I've seen that scene so many times, like on other clips and stuff.
No, but I love that. I love
it. Still got me because I just got caught up in that moment.
That's awesome.
Even when he was doing the chum and you see the shark for the first time, when he's like, why don't you come try shoveling some of this? And then the shark comes out. Like, it's still, I know it's coming, but I'm like, here it comes.
I know. Yeah.
Cool. Let's go on to our top spots. Nathan, what is your favorite moment of Jaws?
Favorite moment would actually be the music.
That's mine too.
Yeah, especially just like the opening. The opening, just the music really sort of sets the scene. The camera sort of panning under the water, so you feel like something sinister is going to happen, but you got no context of story or anything at that point. It's just such a good theme that you feel it building up tension and just something lurking that you can't quite see. It's loved it.
Nathan and I went to the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra John Williams' 90th birthday spectacular last month, was it, Nathan?
Yeah.
And like obviously Jaws was featured in it, and it didn't have any images, like it was just the orchestra, and to hear that music like played live was just amazing.
I got like goosebumps.
That would be
the theme
awesome.
Is like just classic. Someone who's never seen Jaws would still know what that theme's from. Like if you get in the water, that's what's going through my head. Like it's just such a classic theme. But also other choices in the film are quite interesting, and I think a lesser person would have chosen different music. So I'm thinking when they're chasing the shark, and they've got like I think 2 barrels in, they're going for another one, and it's like really excited, like string sort of music, like it's almost like a galloping sort of thing.
I
Like,
thought it sounded a little bit like calliope music, a little bit like merry-go-round or something.
Yeah, it was like
yeah, it
happy
did.
music.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like this is like, you know, meant to be like a tense scene, you know, where they're in the middle of the ocean chasing a shark, and there's like this really excited music, and of course they would be excited because they've, you know, been hunting the shark and they're about to capture, and I'm like, wow, this is great, this music.
Yeah, no, the vibe I got from that part of music was it felt like it was just going off on an adventure of shark
Yeah,
hunting. Like there was no real danger there. It's like, here we go, off we go, gonna catch a shark.
I have to admit, I love that symphony orchestra thing, like you were saying about seeing Jaws. Like I went and saw Evil Dead with an orchestra accompanying me. So they showed the film, and at the same time they had the symphony orchestra, and they also had the original composer of the film come and conduct. So that was really awesome. And
wow.
I agree, like it's so good to hear the music treated properly, like the
Mm.
classics that they really are.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that would have been fun. I so would have gone to that with you guys.
So what was your top spot?
It would have been when Chrissy died. The initial, because it looked so goddamn painful and scary and lonely. Like I think the lonely part is what's always got me about shark attacks, that you're pulled underwater, there is nothing but you and this creature, and you're going to die, and you realize it then, kind of thing. I know that the way they filmed that actually was painful for the actress, I believe.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so I'm not sure how much of her grimacing and screaming was actually acting, and what just these pulleys and things are actually really hurting me.
Mm.
But damn, it's so good and so effective, and it's such a shocking, chilling beginning.
Yeah,
It set the scene.
yeah, that was in my list as well. I was tossing up between that and the music, but yeah, music definitely
And
won.
once again, they didn't show much. Your
No,
imagination is working on what's happening under there. What is he pulling off of her, or what's happening to her body under there? Like,
exactly,
Although
especially because of the
I
opening.
was
Well,
watching the 4K ultra high definition version of it, and I'm actually surprised at how much they do show. Like, than I remember. I'm like, okay, she's fully nude. Like,
yeah,
I was referring to the attack.
yeah, the shark. So Matt's talking about boobs and bush.
But it doesn't feel, I don't know, like she could have easily just had underwear on. I think they could have left pants on her, to be honest. But it didn't feel necessarily exploitive, because it was really like a few seconds and then she's getting pulled apart. So it's not particularly sexy.
I think it though, her being naked adds to the
Added to
loneliness side of it. It's like so
Mm.
vulnerable, yeah. Like being there, you know,
Plus,
in the
also,
middle of
she
the
would have
ocean.
been so relaxed in that moment to be able to strip off and just go off and feeling so confident and that sort of stuff. So, yeah, she was really vulnerable at that moment, but also when she was least expecting it. One of the thoughts I did have about that scene, though, is obviously she got thrashed around a fair bit. Why do sharks do that? Why wouldn't they just pull her under?
And they do it to normally with sharks, they'll try to maim the thing that they're trying to kill. So they'll try to like rip it open so that it then starts bleeding to death. Then they'll circle around until it sort of has bled and it's weakened a bit, and then they'll go in for the kill. They
Okay,
normally do that
makes
so
sense.
they don't get poked in the eye or injured at all.
Okay,
Yeah.
that would make sense.
No, interesting.
Yes. Cool. Was there any other bits that you wanted to add as a caveat?
Oh,
I think that's a pretty good top few moments.
You know the bit that always makes me laugh? You know when they interview the mayor and he says, a predator that supposedly injured some bathers? That line always makes me laugh. I'm like, could you downplay it any more?
Yeah.
Injured. Like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
that line makes me laugh every time. I'm like, oh, you dick.
I always love the man in the river, the guy
Oh,
that's
yeah, poor guy.
the shark looks really good in that. That like the shark doesn't look great at a lot of points, but I think it looks
Oh,
really
yeah.
good when you sort of see it like from above under the water. And I think his
that one.
leg looks quite convincing as well when it falls on the
Yeah,
sea.
as I floated down.
Yeah.
Cool. And let's go on to the bits where if it was up to me. So, Sue, what is your third
like a what the fuck
Worst moment? What the fuck moment?
Yeah, probably when Chief Brody like backs into the room and says, "You're going to need a bigger boat," and no one seems to think, "Yeah, we actually do." Like to me, it's like you do need a bigger boat. You should have come back to shore, gotten a bigger boat, headed back out again. I mean, I know this is all part of the story, but when I'm struggling to find things to pick at, and it's more picky. I'm picking at the characters, not the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they would have thought I think it's excessive when Quint destroys the radio because Brody's trying to get help again.
Yeah, that's what
But
I
I
was
think
actually
it's
going to
the
say.
thought that I had was he's scared that they're not going to be able to find the shark again. Like they've got that moment where the shark's sort of been baited and they've got him on the hook, sort of thing.
It's hubris. It reminds me of, you remember that bit in Titanic when he says something like everything he knows is going to teach him to do the wrong thing, and it just made me think of that, like because Quint thinks he knows, he's going to make so many wrong decisions.
Yeah. Cool. Nathan, what was your third?
Would have
what the
been
fuck moment.
Again, I really like the movie, but it was hard for me to like picking out bits that I didn't like. But so it's more just like what Sue said, character choices. So when Shaw smashed up the radio, that was just really annoying for me. So it was more like at that point, it's more like it became a vendetta. Like he needs to catch that shark, not just like he's catching it for the townsfolk. He needs to do it for him, and no one's going to get in the way of that.
That was my number one.
Okay.
He's risking the life of everybody on that boat, and I can't even imagine how they would feel. I'd be like, "You just killed us. What the fuck?"
Yeah, he just makes it
like
personal and all about him.
Yeah.
My third WTF moment was Hooper getting in the cage. Not so much getting in the cage, but in the cage, like making that stupid mistake with hanging out with the prod. Of course, like the shark's going to come from the other end. What were you thinking? And then also, as a technical side, the shark you can see from under the water is a real shark, and it's thrashing around, and you can tell like it's breaking the water, and it's like the tail is outside of the water because it's on top of the cage. But then on top of from Brody's point of view, there's no shark there. You can see there's no shark, and I always think that's kind of unfortunate that they couldn't marry the two bits of footage up.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's almost like that cage scene. It's like when you see a horror movie and you see a character just make like a really sort of poor choice. It's like, I don't know if I really would have done that. He just did it just to sort of, I think, add a little bit of extra tension in the movie.
It's out of it when you're like, well, no one would do something that silly.
Yeah. Plus, also when you see how, I guess, useless the cage was in comparison with such a huge shark, it is mangled.
It was made out of toilet rolls.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like you said, there was no better idea, I guess. They were thinking, like, last ditch, we got to throw everything at them.
Desperate.
And see what happens.
Yeah.
But it's funny, I think the other two shark movies we've seen have also had like what seems like a dumb moment that they do just to build tension. It seems a little bit far-fetched, but we just roll with it. So this is that moment.
Yeah. Cool. Let's go on to second WTF moments. Nathan, what was your...
Again, it's more character choices. I just found some of the townsfolk really annoying. I mean, they were believable and they seemed real, and if they were real people, I'd find them annoying as well. But I just... Yeah, that's all. It's just I'm being petty and picky, but that's all. I found a lot of them annoying.
We quoted that all the time, Sue. I don't think that's funny at all. What's the other one?
24 hours is like 2 weeks.
Yeah, 24 hours is like 2 weeks. I love that. I love the charm of Amity. Like, I love that, there's that old man that keeps bothering the chief with the sort of big boobs. Like, I love the hotel owner's wife. I think The townsfolk.
It
are
was
amazing.
amusing. I mean, there were some
crap on the
annoying ones, but it
townsfolk,
wasn't
Nathan.
amusing.
That
Like even there was a scene where
on the beach, that's really funny, and trying to talk to him, and he's like,
I know he doesn't even talk to him. He just like gives up and goes back to his wife.
And I love the
Doesn't acknowledge him
secretary.
at
The
all.
secretary's amazing. Like how she just keeps rabbiting on.
I know. Actually, what a lot what her
They
and
keep
some of the townsfolk
karate
keep-
chopping.
that's
No, but her and some of the other townsfolk just made me feel like almost like an old Hitchcock movie. How he did that really well as well, having a lot of the sort of just ordinary townsfolk people just doing seemingly really ordinary things, but suddenly they've got like quite a big moment that those actors are going to make the most of.
it just adds so much context, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely did that. Yeah,
I do like that.
Cool.
yeah.
Sue, what was
It's
your
nitpicking.
What's your second WTF moment?
Mine would be when Mrs. Kidner hits Brody. It always pisses me off because I'm like, it's not him, love. Like, Jesus Christ, you must know the mayor is also, like, if she slapped them both, I guess I'd get it. But, come on. And he's standing right next to him. And they were just having the conversation right when she walked up. Like, I think she might have heard them go,
Convenient timing. Yeah.
"Oh, bitch." Yeah. Anyway, like, I know she's in grief, but it always pisses me off.
I
every
love that
time.
as well. Like I love that the infuriating circumstance where Chief Brody, is totally against everything that's happened, and it's not his fault, but yeah, he's been blamed for it. Like, so I find that so frustratingly annoying that he gets slapped in the face. But yeah, I think that's a great part of the
I
film.
feel like it just makes me want to jump in there and like defend him. Like, it wasn't him.
Oi.
Stop it. Fair enough.
My second WTF moment is some of the shark's behavior. I think is kind of unusual for sharks. So some of the barrel movements don't make sense. So he's under the boat, and yet sharks really have to keep, especially great whites, have to keep perpetually moving. So they're not just gonna hang around. So it's gonna keep moving. So some of that behavior is kind of annoying to me. I think.
What about the bits with the shark ramming the boat? Is that believable?
They have, but
they can. They don't normally ram it. They would normally like bite it because of this. They like metal or that sort of thing. Has like an electric current. I don't know if they would generally ram it.
Yeah, well, that's the impression that I got when you could see it like from the wood on the inside, looked like it was being rammed.
Yeah, if there was like the vibration from the engine, maybe it might. I'm not sure. But yeah, some of the other things, it was like, really? Like, and also the shark's eaten so much and yet it keeps going.
Yeah, I think that. Like, he just
like still hungry. Nom nom nom.
Yeah, you've eaten a dog, now you want to eat a kid. And
at the very end when he dies, basically, he's literally just eaten Robert Shaw. Like, he would probably go away somewhere and digest it. It's a big meal. Like,
yeah.
Now he wants canister and other stuff.
Yeah, like, I don't know. He literally just ate him. If there was a bit of time between, maybe, but yeah.
Yeah. Cool, let's go on to our final WTF moment. So, Sue, we've already had your...
We have, but it actually made me think, what you just said made me think of another thing that kind of annoyed me. That's always kind of frustrated me. When they they do the roast scene, where they chuck the Sunday roast out, and then he gets attached to like the bit of the pier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and at the end when Charlie's like swimming and the pier's coming towards him, there's not enough space between the edge and the pier for a shark to be in there. That always irritates me. Like, that doesn't work.
That's one of the things that I was kind of getting at as well. I forgot about that. But yeah, it's like the barrels. Like, it doesn't make sense that that was quite a long chain. And then you've got the pier as well. Like, he should be... a lot further. It's like he's not underneath the pier.
Agreed. It's like they used the pier and the barrels to represent the shark.
Yeah.
Not that there's meant to be a shark in front of it with a length of chain as well.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. But it also ties in with what I was saying before about how you don't necessarily see the shark for a lot of it. So you're filling in the gaps in your head. So what you've just said makes sense. But in the moment when I was watching, I wasn't thinking about that.
I
I was
always
just
think
thinking,
it
like,
every
I was
time.
thinking, all right,
Mm.
seeing the jetty coming along, chasing that guy. So it's like,
Yeah,
you know what's underneath, even though you can't see it. And same with the barrels, as the barrels are moving around. It's. I thought it was actually a clever way of sort of
it's clever.
showing
It's
where the
just,
shark
Yeah, it's
was
very
and
clever.
building
Yeah.
tension without actually showing the shark.
agreed. I just
Yeah,
wish they put a bit more thought into
yeah,
where the
I can see
shark
that.
would actually be in relation to
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah.
Agreed. Nathan, what is your number one WTF moment?
Mine would actually be the shark itself. So I think the
Same.
movie does really well when you can't see the shark, but when you can see it, quite often it just looks a bit. It's got very limited sort of movement, even though apparently what's going on under the water is quite quick and fast and rapid. But above water, it's just like nah, bruh, bruh, and it seems just like very slow and rubbery, which I know is just what they had to work with in its time. And so I accept that. But yeah, that would be my least favorite bit.
Is he
Yeah.
fiberglass? It doesn't look like rubber to me. It looks like
Well,
fiberglass or something. Like a
it's
I think
more
it's
silver.
rubbery.
fiberglass and rubber. Like I think it's painted on with rubber because you can see
Right.
at certain points, especially towards the end, that it's sort of bubbling off, especially on the head. Like
Mm.
Yeah,
it's
on the top
got
of his
bubbles.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I have a love-hate relationship with this shark because I
Yeah,
feel
same.
like it doesn't look like a great white shark, and when they have the shots of the live sharks, like it's
It looks
glaringly
very different.
obvious of what a real shark looks like. But like just the look of it is now so iconic. And when I went to Universal Studios, it was like I'd met a A-list celebrity when Jaws like came out of the
Jumped
water
out.
in
It
the
still
back
made me
lot.
jump too. And we
Yeah.
know it's there. That's what we're doing this for, but it still made me jump every
I'm
time.
like, oh my god, it's Bruce the shark.
Yeah.
But I don't condone it normally, but I would be really interested to see, just as an experiment, if Steven Spielberg went back and refilmed this or did like a special edition, like just as like, not stopping the original, but like just as a experiment to see what you could do today and how
Ooh.
it would change it. They may be awful and just ruin the whole movie, or it could be like a whole nother
What if you
take on it.
cut bits of an actual shark in those scenes? Like left the rest alone because it's pretty
Yeah.
perfect, but just did those bits.
Yeah,
Ooh.
go back in, like leave the same actors and all that sort of stuff, but do like a George Lucas special edition of Star Wars.
That's what I was gonna
Well,
say.
yeah.
I think that's a
I
slippery
love Star
slope.
Wars special editions. I'm not
But
saying to retcon like the original Jaws. That should still always be available to watch, but I would love to have like a DVD extra or a special cinematic release so that millennials can see Jaws. But to go back in and make the shark look real, like it would be interesting to see like that scene where he's on the boat and eating Quint. Like how different would that be if it was actually a convincing shark rather than something that was so
Yeah.
obviously mechanical?
It's
So
still
I actually had in my notes, so we like suggestions for improvement would be a better shark. But in my mind, I'm like, don't go ahead and make a remake. Do not make a remake of this. Like some sort of special edition. Yeah, maybe that could work. But now that we've seen the original, I think it would feel a little bit weird
It would
inserting that
definitely
in.
feel
But
weird.
yeah, but for new people coming to it, they would probably appreciate it a lot more, and they wouldn't get that fake shark sticking out at them like it does to us.
Yeah, it always
But
seems
don't
to
make a
float on
remake.
the top. Like it's just like you can tell it's being pulled along, like a normal shark.
Yeah,
Like it sways along in the water, but it just like is always static, just moving.
yeah.
And it always seems to be on a sort of diagonal, sort of like that, not in a straight line. It's very weird. I think because the barge was like off to the side, so it's like pulling off that way.
how funny. Yeah, that would be interesting. I wouldn't 100% yes or 100% no, but I can see that there could be some value in that.
What would you say, Sue, what would you suggest to improve the movie?
It's only like a personal thing, is that I feel like it's a film of two halves. Like there's all
Yeah.
the beach attacks and the stuff at the beginning, and then there's the boat stuff after. And for me, there's too much boat stuff and less beachy attack stuff. And I would rather there was more beachy
Okay.
attack stuff and less boat stuff. That's all.
I
That's
always
just
think
my.
there's going to be a lot of beachy boat stuff, but I was surprised that like it's actually quite quick for me, like
The
the
boats
boat
went
stuff.
a lot longer for me. It was surprised me. I was like, oh, we're already at the boat stuff, which I don't find as interesting. I like the kills and, and a bit more of the machinations at the town, and yeah, that kind of it just because it interested me.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah, no, I can see that. That could be interesting. What about you, Matt?
Cool.
So what would you do differently?
I wouldn't do anything differently. I think it's a perfect movie, other than Really the Shark. Like, I think that does need to be reviewed. I'd love to see Steven Spielberg go back in as like one of his final films, and just because I know that he hated Bruce the shark, and it was so traumatic for him. So I'd love to see him sort of end his career by not end his career in that way,
Bruce?
but like round out his career by going back to one of his first films and just putting all that sort of Jurassic Park and all that knowledge that he's learned into just tidying up what is a fantastic film.
Yeah, because Jurassic Park opened a lot of doors for a whole new way of special effects and stuff. So yeah, if he applied that to this now, that would be interesting.
Yeah. It's funny, I'd actually forgotten that he did Jurassic Park until you mentioned that. We're talking about Michael Crichton earlier, and I think he wrote Jurassic Park, but I completely forgot about the Spielberg connection. But no, that's a very good one, because obviously it's also a monster movie.
Yeah.
But we get to see them this time. And so, yes, and they look believable. So
yeah, when that came out, they were saying Jaws in the prehistoric era kind of thing.
Yeah.
Basically that film, but done this way. But it's not quite. Like, when I look at it, I'm like, well, all it really has in common is a predator and a group of protagonists. Like,
I think Jaws is much better than Jurassic Park. I don't know
Jaws
if that's controversial. But I think the Jaws has the amazing characterization, the world of the Amity, like, is just amazing.
Yeah, it is more real than Jurassic Park.
I really liked, the scene when he's at the dinner table and him and his the kid's like mimicking the things that he's doing. Yeah, just little things like that where you don't even have to say anything, but you can see he's having a shitty day, and his close relationship with his child, and I love the relationship with his wife too. They actually seemed like friends who dug each other and were very close. It was nice. There wasn't any issues there. I'm glad they left the whole affair thing out of it.
And they're on the same page with their parenting. Michael, did you hear your father? And I'm out of that boat now.
Yes, I've seen her in the sequels, and I didn't think she was particularly good. But Steven Spielberg obviously got a decent performance out of her in this one.
She was the wife of one of the producers, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She always reminds me of the mum from Who's the Boss.
She does. Meredith Baxter Burney. Is that Meredith Baxter Burney? Yeah.
No, she's Family Ties. Judith Light is Who's the Boss.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. Yep. Cool. Should we go on to our final thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nathan, did you want to tell us what you thought of Jaws?
Yeah, well, given that I was watching it almost with fresh eyes, yes, I know all about the culture of it, the history and all that sort of stuff, but just watching it and experiencing it pretty much fresh gave me a completely different appreciation to what I probably would have had before. I like how it just felt, I mean, it's a classic movie, but it felt like it's worthy of being a classic movie, not just being an old movie. It was suspenseful, great character building, good storytelling, and it was groundbreaking. I think it's fantastic. I loved it. Pash!
Pash. Sue, what about you?
Well, it's a pretty seminal movie because of the whole, having nightmares about it when I was a child. So it's been quite a big part of my life, as it has yours, Matt, as well. But yeah, and I have had a lifelong fear of sharks. Yay, Jaws, thanks. But it's so well made. The humor, I think, is something that people forget about, and then when you watch it, like, it's actually quite a funny film, but it doesn't in any way detract from the horror side of it. It's quite edge of your seat. They're well done kills, and Richard Dreyfuss.
Break me off a piece of that.
Right? Like, to like So yeah, it's pretty perfect. I think it's a pretty great movie. So big
Yeah.
old Pash as well.
And Matt.
So for me, yeah, well, if you hadn't guessed, I do love this movie. It's probably, I would say, my favorite movie of all time. I think it's pretty perfect, so I'll just go ahead straight away and say it's a Pash. But the things I love about it is just there's so many layers. Like I said, well, like you said, Sue, as well, that there's two halves to it. There's the first half that's mainly set in the town, and it has such a different dynamic to the second half. And I just love the second half. Like I was thinking about it on this viewing. Like I love how it's three people, two experts. One is, old school expert fisherman
Mm.
who's been through sharks. The other is, a new school, like he's got all the technology. And then there's Chief Brody, who hates the water, totally inexperienced. But the first two, they're all about, listen to me, this is what I'm going to do. But they both fail in their attempts, and then it's Chief Brody that actually comes to the rescue and is the one that ends up killing the shark. So it's just so many different layers, and every time I watch it, I take away something new. So yeah, it's a definite Pash. It's definitely something that everyone should watch. So yeah, do yourself a favor if you haven't seen it. Watch Jaws.
How could someone not have seen it?
I know. I'm sure there are people out there though.
Or see it again.
They are, but they're insane.
I know. And then also watch Jaws 2. I like that too.
I also love Jaws too. I think that's a really underrated movie.
Okay, maybe I need to revisit that. I think I've only seen it the once.
Oh, watch it again. It is awesome.
It
I
is
might just
awesome,
watch it.
and it's kind of like it's kind of a direct sequel to. Like they're all direct sequels, but that one has more of the flavor of the first one.
Yeah.
Is that the one where the shark follows them to the Bahamas?
No,
No,
that's the
that's
last
not-
one,
the shark
Nathan.
died.
We don't mention that one. That's
Before.
Jaws the Revenge.
That's the one we
Wash
don't
your
speak
mouth
of.
out. With Michael Caine. Michael Caine just going, just give me a check. Just give me a check. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he wanted to pay off his house or buy a car or something, so he did Jaws the Revenge.
Yeah. Well, at least
Cashing
something
in.
came out of it.
So that was Jaws, and that was also the end of our Shark box set. So thank you very much for following along with us. We'll be continuing our summertime theme with a beachy theme coming up in the next 2 weeks. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so that you're notified on YouTube when we go live. Also, make sure that you follow us on our social media. You can see all of our handles there on the screen. We love it if you show us some love. We love to interact with our fans. So make sure you also comment below. Tell us what you think. Isn't that right, guys?
That's absolutely right.
Absolutely.
So thanks Nathan and Sue for also coming along tonight and giving us your opinions. I look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks' time.
Great.
Have a great
See you
night.
then.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.